Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. We all know the signs of flirting, laughing at jokes that aren't even all that funny, accidental touches, and the classic lean in that screams, I definitely want your attention and possibly your entire marriage. Today in the rLounge, is it just some harmless flirting? You be the judge. Sister tried to sabotage my marriage by flirting with my husband. Now she's cut off and alone. You'll have to forgive me if this comes across as incoherent sometimes. I'm still so mad at my sister that I'm having trouble thinking straight. I just can't believe that level of betrayal could come from someone I trusted so deeply. It hurts so bad. I, 26 female, have been best friends with my older sister, Lisa, 22 female, for as long as I can remember. Some of my earliest memories are of her following me around when she was a toddler. Of course, we grew apart a bit as we got older. Life got in the way, with college, work, and partners, but we still tried our best to keep in touch. She was even my maid of honor when I married my husband, Michael, 28 male. And that's where all the trouble started. Lisa hasn't had much luck in her love life. She's been in quite a few relationships, and all of them have ended pretty badly. A few had seemed like they might go the distance, but in the end, something would always go wrong. Lisa has always been a hopeless romantic. You know, the type that wants a husband and kids more than anything in the world. I knew she still had a lot of time left, but it did feel bad for her. Despite her own bad luck in relationships, she's always been super supportive of me and Michael. Before I got married, she came over to our place often, usually to chat and hang out with me. Michael really liked her too, and they got along well. The three of us always had a good time when she was over. We liked her so much that when she got into a university my parents couldn't afford, it seemed like a no-brainer for us to help her out. I'm not trying to brag, but Michael and I are decently successful, and this was really important to Lisa. It was her dream school, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, we helped cover up the part of the tuition that my parents couldn't afford, which came out to a good chunk of it. But like I said, we both loved Lisa more than anything. The money didn't matter to us. But after a while, I started noticing some odd changes in the way she acted toward me. She still came over pretty often, but I felt like she was colder towards me. It was so subtle that I thought I was imagining it sometimes. I even had to ask Michael about it, but he just said that Lisa was the same as she always was. But she wasn't the same to him. If she was friendly with him before, now it was like she was infatuated with him. We were having dinner with my family one night, and Lisa was bubbly the whole night. But she especially livened up whenever Michael said something, and she'd laugh her head off at any remark he made, no matter how funny it was. I love my husband, but I can admit that his jokes can be a little dry sometimes. Lisa made it seem like Robin Williams was in the room with us. It was a little uncomfortable with how Lisa was acting, but when my brother Eric, 29 male, brought it up, I was relieved to know it wasn't just me. After another one of Lisa's laughing fits, Eric nudged me and whispered, "She's lying it on thick, isn't she?" Mom chided us for whispering at the table, but I felt vindicated. About a month after that, I found out that my parents had noticed it too. This time we'd all met up for Eric's son's birthday party. It was a nice time, with the kids having fun by the pool and the adults hanging back and drinking on the porch. There was a grill going, with Michael manning it while he and Eric had a lively chat. Nothing weird there. The two of them get along really well. What was odd was that Lisa was orbiting around them. She would hang back with the adults for a while, then head out into the backyard to talk with Eric and Michael again. That went on for a bit, and my dad spoke up. He didn't make a scene or call her out. He just brought it up when only my mom and I were around here. He asked if either of us found it odd that Lisa was fawning over Michael. I laughed awkwardly. It felt weird to think that her behavior was so obvious that even my dad had picked up on it. I said I noticed that she'd been a bit friendlier recently. I left out the fact that it was only towards Michael. My mom laughed and said that it was understandable. Michael was a catch, according to her. He was handsome, and he was helping her out with her tuition. My dad didn't seem satisfied with that answer, and I'm sure he wanted to push the topic further, but another guest drifted by us, and we let the conversation go. Later that night, I asked my husband what Lisa had been talking to them about. I tried to make it sound casual, like I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't want it to come off like I was accusing him of something, and I especially didn't want it to look like I was jealous or something. Michael shrugged and told me that she was just stopping by to ask how the grilling was going. She'd ask if he or Eric needed anything, and then she'd leave. I believed my husband, but it felt like there was more to Lisa's actions. About a month after the birthday party, Michael came up to me and told me that we had to talk. He sat me down and said that he hadn't wanted to say anything earlier because he didn't want to make things awkward over something he thought would blow over on its own. I was curious and a little scared. I told him to go on, and he hesitated. After a few moments, he told me that Lisa had been acting inappropriately with him. I was mad at him as soon as I heard of it. I had asked him multiple times about her, and he always said everything was normal. He apologized and told me that he thought it was harmless at first, and he didn't want to make things weird between us. I was still mad, but I asked him to elaborate. He said it had started just a little while after we got married. First, it was physical contact, light touches that were just casual enough to seem meaningless or accidental. Later, her hands started lingering, and he became sure it wasn't just meaningless contact. He said that was when he first considered talking to me about it, but he didn't want to damage my relationship with my sister. So he decided he'd just try to avoid being alone with her. He said it had worked for a while, but then she started texting him. He brought out his phone to show me the texts, and he let me read them in silence. Lisa had been flirting with my husband. In his defense, he hadn't flirted back, and he started ignoring her when things got out of hand, but I still felt betrayed. He hadn't told me about this. I truly felt like he cheated on me. When I was done reading the messages, I gave him his phone back and asked him to give me a moment. I just sat there thinking. I felt sick. How could Lisa do this to us after all we'd done for her? We paid most of her tuition. We even sent her some cash once in a while to make sure she had everything she needed. I tried to convince myself that it was just a childish crush, but I knew that I was just trying to make excuses for her. She wasn't a child. She knew what she was doing. After a few minutes, I called my husband in. I was distraught and asked him to tell me whether he'd slept with her. He looked shocked that I'd even suggest that. He said that there'd never been anything between them, apart from the unwanted physical contact. I wanted to believe him. The text messages he'd shown me, and the fact that he came out to tell me everything himself, made me think that he was telling the truth. But I still felt lied to. I told him I needed some time to think about it. He agreed and gave me my space for the rest of the day. The next day, I spoke to my parents about it. I wanted to figure out how I was going to approach things with Lisa, and I valued their input. My dad took it very seriously and said we needed to talk to her. My mom surprised me, though. She completely took Lisa's side, saying that it wasn't abnormal for young girls to have a crush on attractive older men. I reminded her that Lisa wasn't a teenager. She was 22. It was fair if she had a crush on Michael, but she was old enough to know not to make a move. My dad agreed with me, but my mom's opinion stayed the same. She said Lisa looked up to me, and she saw Michael as a good example of a partner because of how well he treated me. I got annoyed and asked why she was making excuses for her. Yeah, Michael was great to me, but that didn't justify Lisa throwing herself at him. My dad had to calm me down. He told me that he'd talked to my mom and suggested that we all talk to Lisa together. That weekend, my dad arranged for all of us to meet up at their house. Michael sat beside me, looking obviously uncomfortable. I'd told him I'd forgiven him and thanked him for talking to me, but I was still hurt. I let my dad take the lead. He was detached enough from all of this to bring up the topic in a neutral way. He started by reassuring Lisa that we all loved her and that no one would think badly of her. Then he brought up what Michael had told me, the physical contact, the comments, and the texts that she'd sent him. Lisa didn't deny anything. She just sat there quietly while my dad spoke. When he was done, he asked her if she had anything to say for herself. To everyone's surprise, she blew up. She said she just had a crush on Michael and that we were all taking things out of proportion. She pointed out that she'd never tried to sleep with him or anything. It was all just harmless flirting. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I shouted at her and said that she was petty and childish for thinking she was free to flirt with my husband. The two of us got into a shouting match, and my parents had to intervene. Michael took my hand and gently pulled me to sit back down. My dad said he understood that Lisa was having confusing feelings, but she needed to learn to keep them under control. I could tell by Lisa's crossed arms and her rolled eyes that she wasn't really listening to anything he said, but I appreciated the fact that he took my side. My mom was a different story. She came to Lisa's defense again, saying it was all completely harmless and that we all needed to move past it. Just like last time, she said Lisa was a child and said that she just needed some time to get over it. I lost it. I started shouting at both my mom and Lisa. Lisa shouted back and my mom was still trying to defend her. I hate to say it, but it got pretty ugly. In the end, I stormed out and Michael followed after me a few minutes. He told me that my mom was crying when I left and that she asked him to help me see reason. To his credit, he didn't try to. I still don't know what to do. I can't explain just how hurt I am by this. It feels like everyone I love is against me. My husband hid something from me, my mom is taking my sister's side, and my sister completely betrayed me. Am I overreacting? It's not just about the flirting, it's about the entitlement and the total disregard for your marriage. And then your mom brushing it off like Lisa's some starry-eyed teenager? That would have made my blood boil too. Honestly, Lisa's reaction to being called out says a lot. Instead of remorse, she's doubled down. Update. Thanks to everyone for the feedback. I know my husband wasn't fully open with me, but I had to accept that he thought he was doing the right thing, even if I don't agree. His heart was in the right place, and he came clean to me. We had a long talk about it, and he understands how I feel. Our relationship is going to make it through this, so I'm glad about that. It's too bad I can't say the same about my relationship with my sister. We ended up getting into another fight, and it was much worse than the other one. Lisa had stopped coming over to our place, and we didn't reach out to find out why. The surprise was that she was the one who reached out first. She called Michael one day to remind him that she needed our help with her tuition again, as usual. Michael had stopped texting her, so he let me know that she'd gotten in touch again. I was shocked. It was the one thing that she'd talked to him about after all this, but I was amazed that she thought she could still ask us for money. I told Michael not to reply to her, and I texted her back myself. I told her that we weren't talking to her until she could admit what she'd done wrong, and I asked her not to contact my husband again. She didn't address anything I said, and just said that she really needed the money to pay her tuition. I told her that we weren't sending a dime, then I blocked her. She tried to text Michael again, and I told him to block her too. But that wasn't the end of it. Next, she had her parents calling me. My dad called me. He said he understood why I blocked Lisa, but he didn't like it. He wanted us all to come up with a solution that would keep the family together. I told him that there was nothing I could do if Lisa wasn't ready to act like an adult. My mom was a different story. As usual, she was completely on Lisa's side, and this time she was attacking me. She said I was the older sister and I was supposed to simply forgive her for what she'd done. I had to tell my mom that I couldn't forgive someone who wasn't apologetic. Then I told my mom that she shouldn't call me again if she was going to be calling on behalf of Lisa. I didn't want to talk about her until Lisa was ready to do the right thing. We didn't hear anything from them for a while. Michael and I focused on repairing our relationship in the meantime. It's not like my trust was completely destroyed or anything, but it took a while for me to fully get over him keeping things from me. And he really is just the sweetest man. I knew he wouldn't have intentionally done anything to hurt me. To help things get back to the way they were, we arranged to have a few date nights every month. It was when we were leaving for one of our dates that Lisa ambushed us in front of our car. She stepped around the car just as we were stepping in and asked if we were just ignoring her now. Michael moved a step between us, but I held him back. I told her I wasn't ignoring her. I was just waiting for her to own up to what she'd done. Lisa said that I was being unfair to her. She'd made a simple mistake, and now I was withholding her tuition from her. I pointed out that it was a huge betrayal and that she no longer deserved my trust or any of the benefits that came with it, like her tuition or the money we occasionally sent her. Now Lisa turned to Michael. She asked him to talk to me and convince me that she really needed our help. I was about to tell Michael not to bother answering, but he wanted a step ahead of me. He told Lisa that he didn't have anything to say to her until she'd squared up things with me. He said that Lisa had hurt me the most with her actions, and she wasn't entitled to a thing from us until she'd make things right with me. Then Lisa absolutely melted down. She said my life was perfect and that I had everything I wanted, but I couldn't help her out when she needed it. I pointed out that I'd been helping her get through college, and she claimed that I made her jump through hoops before I'd do anything for her. When I asked her to give me an example of one of these hoops, she brought up how I was insisting that she should apologize. I wanted to point out that was just a reasonable request, but she pushed on. She said that it wasn't fair that I had a perfect life, and that I was making demands of her and trying to use my money to get her to do what she wanted. I'd heard enough by then. Michael and I both got into the car, and we drove off. He asked if I still wanted to go through with our date, but I didn't want to let Lisa ruin our day. My mom called me the day after, and she wasn't happy. Now she was asking why I'd refused to help my sister with her tuition anymore. I didn't bother explaining it. I just told her that Lisa didn't respect me or my marriage, so we weren't under any obligation to help her anymore. I had to start screening my mom's calls after a while. Lisa showed up at her house again, but we didn't let her in. I just spoke through the door to her and asked her if she had anything to say. She didn't apologize. She just said she really needed the money. I left her at the front door and went back to my bedroom. About a month later, I found out from my dad that Lisa had been forced to suspend for a semester. Without our support, she couldn't raise money to complete her tuition. I told him I was sorry it had to come to that, but she tried to sabotage my relationship. She was completely on her own. He sighed, but he said he understood my decision. He also told me that she and my mom were both angry at me, and they didn't want to talk to me. I said I understood, and I honestly didn't really feel like talking to them either. If they ever realized why I was so angry at Lisa and came to apologize, then maybe we could talk. To be completely honest, the whole issue breaks my heart, but I'm glad I stood my ground. What Lisa did was a massive violation of boundaries, and if I hadn't put my foot down, it would have gotten worse. I'm lucky that I had Michael by my side through the whole thing. I know I gave him a hard time at the first, but I really appreciate the fact that he eventually came out to tell me what was going on. I realize it couldn't have been easy for him. I'm sure our relationship will survive this, and we'll come out on the other side stronger than ever. Honestly, I'm just shaking my head. The entitlement is staggering. It's not just that she tried to come between you and your husband, it's that she still expected financial support after doing it, without even an ounce of accountability. And to weaponize your family against you on top of it? Come on. Family or not, you can't allow someone that toxic to stay in your life unchecked, especially not when they actively try to damage something that you've worked so hard to build. You did the right thing, OP. What about you? What would you have done? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.